I move that we enter into this agreement, with, Rushford Peterson Valley for $8,500 for a 12-month period for these services.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Bunky, second by Mr. Collins. Any
Maybe
questions?
We may need to have a more formal agreement, but this would be the framework of it. So I'll talk with Terry and see if there's just a one-pager that we can write up as an agreement between the organizations that would spell out maybe a few more things in some greater detail.
And just a question, the EDA will continue to work with the chamber and be the,
Go-between or
that,
whatever.
yeah, that
They'll
liaison.
provide that oversight.
Yep.
But again, it's only gonna work as well as we all get involved. So if you see something on the TV and you say, boy, that, I don't like the way that looks, or you're in another community and you see something that another community's doing, please pass that along so we can take a look at it. We may not get to it right away. We talked about promotional YouTube videos and things like that. We may not be able to do those right off, but we can get those in the hopper and get them planned for in the future.
And part of our request for like a quarterly review was to see how those things are moving forward. Just so,
I think that's great.
so that those ideas can be exchanged if we see something, hear something. I know for myself, when I go somewhere that I'm unfamiliar, one of those books is the first things that I grab because I wanna go see what's around here. So.
Yeah, the years go fast, so quarterly updates won't be, they will happen and seem like they happen almost overnight.
Anything else? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sally. Number 2, approval of contributing $500 to the Southeast Minnesota Together project, a regional collaborative effort to address workforce shortage issues and future impacts of DMC. See attached Smith presentation and staff reports.
Your Honor, I don't necessarily need to take a whole lot of the council's time with this, just, this project came about through initiative from, through Smith. We had a meeting up in Red Wing back last fall and formed into groups to make presentations to a Smith committee to decide who was going to get funding on their one big thing grant. It's usually a $100,000 grant. Our group worked on workforce issues, especially related to Destination Medical Center and the impacts that will have. Tom and I have served on the steering committee of the Southeast Minnesota Together project since it began, and we've really tried to gear the project towards providing resources to smaller communities. We really look at this as a two-pronged approach. One is we already know that there is a workforce shortage. Companies are feeling that. We have a company in town right now who can't find 5 people to work for them. And so that's severely impacting their ability to move forward. So we know that we have this existing issue. We also know that Destination Medical Center is going to contribute somewhere between 30,000 to 40,000 additional jobs, not just at Mayo, but in general. And that's going to put an additional burden on our communities. And so how can we position ourselves to look at this as an opportunity, and how can we identify those things that might threaten the small towns that we have right now, and to try to mitigate those. That's what this project's all about. It's boiled down into a couple of components. The first part is to hold 3 regional meetings where we'll get the small communities together, business owners together, to talk over strategies to deal with the workforce shortage, and to start dealing with the future impacts, the anticipated impacts of Destination Medical Center. And another phase will be to take I'm calling it like the Minnesota design team, only for economic resources. So much like what Rushford went through after the flood when the design team came here, We would pick one community as a test, and we would, working with the University of Minnesota Extension and other universities in the area and other professionals, volunteers would go to that town, small town, that doesn't have the EDA resources, and talk through visioning process and strategic planning for them, to help them identify some shortcomings, resources that they might have, and those that they might want in the future to position themselves in the, in the face of what's happening with DMC, and also to help their businesses deal with the existing workforce shortage. So we received $75,000 from the Initiative Foundation. We're asked to raise about $18,000. Tom Driscoll, the EDA president, made the request for $500 from our EDA, and that's what is being presented to the council to help support this project. The boards are all acting on a volunteer basis. Any comments or questions?
I think it's a good project, and I guess I'm very happy to see that Steve and Tom so deeply involved in it. It's a lot of representation for the whole area for Rushford.
Tom and I have said right from the beginning when DMC was announced that we need to get something more out of this than a busload of visitors, from Mayo to come down to Lanesboro or to Rushford for a day. We need to get something more. There's more out there. There's more to get. And to that end, we've been involved. I think the EDA as a whole is becoming more involved in this endeavor to make sure that we can view this as an opportunity, not a threat against the community. And there's so many other facets to this that we can go into. But again, I don't want to be here all night talking about it. But I'm certainly happy to answer any questions you might have. I go in front of the Fillmore County Board tomorrow. I've already made a request from the Houston County EDA, and so we're trying to gather some strength from this region.
I think one of our problems is housing now, isn't it?
Certainly.
We don't have no housing.
Workforce housing is definitely an issue,
Yeah.
but we'll be trying to address that with the redevelopment project across the street. There'll be several units that we can put into the old school. So it's one step that we can take to try to address it. Transportation's an issue, healthcare, it's everything. It's all gonna be affected by this.
But it just isn't Rushford, it's a lot of cities.
And this project that we're undertaking is an 11-county-wide effort. Our basic feeling is Byron, Stewartville, cities like that, they've got the resources to manage these issues, but the smaller cities don't. And so how can we use this money from Smith to try to get those resources in their hands? Everybody but Canton.
Where?
Boomer. It's the council's pleasure.
I'll move to accept the
I'll second it.
option number 1 there.
Motion by Mr. Bunky, second by Mr. Culbertson. Any questions or comments?
And again, as this goes forward, we'll probably hold our regional meeting will be in Winona. And so we would certainly invite the council to attend and to help us to spread the word about the project, because we need a lot of people to show up and share ideas.
No other questions? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna take a 2-minute break.